My story starts when I was 17 years old. I repacked some fireworks in an attempt to make a sort of a mortar cannon that you see at fireworks displays. Packed it into a pipe and it exploded in my face. I was transported to Christiana Hospital in the north end of the state. From there, several operations, and I was in Christiana Hospital for a little over a month. And when I came out of the medically induced coma is when my mother was sitting next to the bed and had told me that I had lost my left hand and I had lost 3 fingers on my right hand. I knew from that point forward that my life was going to be very different. I was very angry for a long time. I carried a ton of guilt from what happened. I felt like I was an embarrassment to my friends and my family. I felt like my entire future had been taken away and there was nobody to blame but me. After my accident, it was time to reconsider college, and I ended up going to Texas A&M University at Galveston. It was my sophomore year. I was just watching the cars go by. So when I saw these 2 trucks coming down the road doing about 70 miles an hour, I didn't think much of it until one truck started to pass the other truck. And I thought, geez, how big of a hurry is this guy in? And as they got side by side, one in the oncoming lane, one in the travel lane, I saw the driver of the one truck pull out a handgun and point it at the other driver and just bang, bang, shot him twice right in the side of the head. The shooter turned around and went back the other direction. So I called 911 and I told the 911 dispatcher what I had just seen and that the shooter was still on Pelican Island, and I said, you need to shut down the Pelican Island causeway. They had pulled the victim out of the vehicle and Officer Collins was just standing there sort of in a daze. I grabbed Tom and I said, the shooter is still on the island with us. We can go get him. And he says, get in the car. Before the guy lost consciousness, the victim, he said something about a tow truck company, and they put it out over the radio, and I said, that's a tow truck company right there. It's in this little industrial yard. I said, that's it right next door. And we pull up and I see the truck. I said, that's the truck right there. And we pulled and we blocked the entrance. He gets out and he runs up to the building, and then all these Galveston City police officers pull up. The thrill of being in this police car, hurrying down the road, going parking lot to parking lot, and then finding the vehicle, being there when the guy was arrested, it made me realize, you're just spinning your wheels here at college. That sort of changed my trajectory in life. That led to me becoming a volunteer firefighter. I knew that I wanted to do something that made a difference and helped other people. So the day was September 11th, 2000. First night I joined, there was another member joining the same night. It was a guy by the name of Mike O'Connor.
We both walked in together and started our journey. He's a very dynamic person.
Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to bring Hydra in too, because there's not going to be people there to unlock all the doors for us.
From the minute you meet him, it's almost like you've been friends forever.
Probably going to be burnt toast. It's that time of day.
So I'd been a volunteer firefighter here in the city of Dover for 11 years. And I was on a trip with a friend of mine. We rode the Great Allegheny Passage and the C&O Towpath, which is a bicycle path through the wilderness. It leads from Pittsburgh all the way down to Washington, D.C. So I'm riding along and I had my epiphany. I realized that all the guilt that I had been carrying around from my accident, everything that hadn't gone right, was just riding me all of these years and weighing me down. I realized my life wasn't going to get better as long as I'm still carrying that guilt around. My life wasn't going to fix itself, and it was up to me. And right there on the side of the trail, I just let go of all of that guilt and just left it right there in the middle of the wilderness. And the biggest decision was to become a career firefighter or die trying. So as far as I knew, there were no hand amputee career firefighters in the United States. And then they announced that they were going to hire in Anne Arundel County. It would be their first academy class in 5 years. So I had done everything required. I passed the written test. I scored 100 on the oral interview.
Is this the only secure door?
I passed the background. I passed CPAT. I passed the physical. And then in an instant, my conditional job offer was rescinded, and I was told that I didn't qualify for a job with the Anne Arundel County Fire Department. That was the lowest point of my life. I had spent years as a volunteer firefighter. I knew that I could do every single job in the fire department. You know, one of the things I said throughout the CPAP process when people started asking questions, if there was a single task on the fire ground that I couldn't complete, I wouldn't be here. I would never put my brother and sister firefighters at risk like that. And never will I allow myself to turn to somebody else and go, I can't do this, I need you to do this job for me. That will never happen. I didn't quit. There was no quit. I had said I was going to get this job or I was going to die trying. I had to start calling attorneys, and eventually I happened upon the right attorney. It was simply a matter of getting the right attorney to talk to the right people, and overnight things got turned around. The fire department, who mostly supported me throughout the entire process anyway, they had me down to the academy. I was taken down to the headquarters building. A guy by the name of Deputy Chief Scholes handed a written final job offer across his desk and said, I couldn't be more happy to give this to you. And that was it. Everything got turned around in an instant. Another recruit and I, a guy who's also from the state of Delaware, we were discussing right before our graduation how much we couldn't wait to get back home and start riding again as volunteers in our off time. One of the other recruits said, I don't get it. Now that you're getting a paycheck to do this, why on earth would you ride a fire truck for free? But for me, this is something I'll never give up. I couldn't wait to come back to the city of Dover and start riding trucks again. I'm not doing it for a paycheck. You know, I'm doing this because the community needs firefighters. It needs people that are willing to get out of bed at 3 in the morning and go and answer calls. It needs people that are going to step in when somebody's having the worst day of their life and do what they can to help. On the side of every piece of our equipment says volunteer since 1882. This organization is the only all-volunteer fire department that protects a state capital in the United States. We're all very proud of that.
Volunteerism on a whole, especially in the fire service, is really dying off. People have their own lives and they don't have time for anything else.
It gets hard from time to time to get volunteers, but we've still been serving the city of Dover for a little over 235 years. I'm a part of that, and that to me means something. Doing this for as long as I have, you learn very quickly how much we are all connected as human beings and how much my life isn't that much different than the guy across the street from me or the guy on the other side of town. I think what's important for most people to know about volunteering is it's not just helping others. I think everybody in the community needs to volunteer because it's what you get out of it in your own personal growth.
These were the townhomes from the training the other night.
It helps develop a sense of community. It ties me to this community. If I wasn't a firefighter in here, I wouldn't care as much about this city as I do. I know a lot of people have given up on the city of Dover. You know, we've lost a lot of industry, we've lost a lot of jobs. There's a lot of areas in the city that are crime-ridden. When you go into these communities and you actually meet these people and you interact with these people, you start to develop a sense that, you know, we are all human beings here, we all want the same thing. And that's a huge personal growth for me, is to sort of have a connection to people in the greater sense of we're all in this together. You know, 9/11, as well as a huge tragedy, it also brought a lot of people together in the sense of community. I mean, our volunteer ranks swelled right after that. People wanted to help out. And here we go.